Throughout the 30s and 40s, Mary remained in the church in Shanghai and watched how Brother Ni and Brother Li worked together.
When 1933, yeah, that's right. 1933, Brother Li came, really intimate co-worker. Watchman greatly appreciated him, helped a lot in the gospel. And then the church gospel started. Each one have a burden. Bring your friends. You see, I still remember one girl even stood up in the meeting, repented and received the Lord Jesus, just like that. And after Witness Lee came, and then Watchman Lee had a lot of fellowship with him, and to find another meeting hall near my hospital, gave to Brother Lee for his ministry, you see. So that time, we, brothers and sisters, near that region, we went to that place, you see.
In 1948, the communists swept over China city by city. Anticipating the impending storm, Watchman Nee sent Witness Lee to Taiwan to further the Lord's work overseas. Sister Mary Hsu was directed by the Lord at that time to move to Taipei. Taiwan was a backward place at that time. It had been under Japanese occupation for half a century. Many of the streets were unpaved. Buildings were typically of Japanese architecture. Very few saints were there before 1949. Mary was one of the first group that arrived from the mainland.
In 1949, it's about 350 to 500 dear saints among us followed the national government, went over to the island of Taiwan. And in 1949, I was sent by the work also to the island Taiwan. So from 1949, we started the work there in Taiwan. Within just 6 years, the increase was from the most 500 to 20,000.
In 1949, I went there. I came earlier, even several months before, Brother Lee. So we bring everything. I even bring all my books from the book room that I bought. I gave it all to Taipei book room, because that time no books, so I give it to them, you see. So when I came, I think maybe I'm just the fewest. Maybe I'm the fifth one or the sixth one, very few. I just, every day, I just go to the meeting hall to serve. At piles of these names, nobody write them. I put them in order,
During this period of time, the church was very fervent in preaching the gospel.
That time really something. Every day we just parade. And then we beat the drum. You know, Brother Jiang Wen-chen beat the drum, you know, have a drum like that, boom, 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 boom. Everybody followed, and they followed to the park. They all can sit down. They all heart empty. They all receive. All fish around me. I really didn't know what to do.
我那一次受浸啊，就350人。哦。1952年3月29那天，那整天都受浸在一会所。哇！整天受浸。那多忙。那个时候，那是个陶贵，那真是有力啊。那个说话是满了生命丰富。那个时候，1952、1953、54，这几年了。 人数这都是最多的，那些这全台湾的所有负责弟兄啊，都是那个时候得救的。
你说他们还打鼓？
打鼓啊，就是一队一队的走啊，那非常甜美啊。特别看到那些老子的那小舅走在后面，是，哎呀，那看着很惊奇。
是
像天使一样。
是，
那个喜乐，令人稀奇。所以那个时候，1952、1953、54这几年。
Soon after Mary Shu moved to Taipei, she began to serve the Lord full-time. During 1953 and 1954, she was in Brother Li's training for the co-workers. Prior to 1960, she lived in Hoping Road East with sisters Shui Shuyu and Li Paoyi, who later married Brother Witness Li. These three sisters pursued the Lord together, worked together, and fostered a relationship that was closer than that of sisters in the flesh. In 1955, during the first visit of Mr. T. Austin Sparks to Taiwan, Brother Li, very much aware of her background and training, assigned Mary to be the chief hostess for the guests. During those years, she perfected and shepherded many saints.
在他的那个生活上，就看见是那么简单的生活，没有属地的享受，也不需要属地的享受，因为他有在主里有丰富的享受。有每天早上一看见他，都是满面笑容，好像他在主里已经非常饱足，从早上起来就非常饱足了，享受了丰富的主。他一天都是笑容满面的。他服侍主是带着一个喜乐的灵服侍主，这个给我印象很深。当时有一个福音诊所就在三会所的前面，他早上就到三会所那个前面的福音诊所去传福音，欢欢喜喜的在那里服侍传福音。再说他自己生活是那么简单，
所以他真是一个很像母亲一样的我滋养我们这些小羊，感谢主。所以我们无论遇到什么有困难的事情，不管任何的事情，都要去找大义交通。他也总是把一件件事情给我们分享，懂我们祷告，是吧？我们得到大义，好像有这个，真是像一个明亮的灯一样，是吧？指示我们在属灵的道路上一直的能够往前，是吧？我们当初就是有人在呼喊主名哈，李弟兄开始做的时候，有些年长的弟兄姊妹不能适应，一点都不适应，觉得这像什么？可是大姨就没有，他说没喊，这都没喊，那圣经上有这个圣经节嘛，要呼喊主名嘛，
那么简单。爱主的心是那么单纯，他喜乐的灵服侍主，这个是我这个受带领的人，他没有用这些话来带领我，但是他这个人就是给我很深的一个带领。跟他一起祷告，他是非常释放灵，并且是很深的进入主里面。你跟他一同祷告，就被他带到主里面，就是那样的一个祷告的人。
In 1962, the Lord's recovery spread to the West through Brother Witness Li's ministry. And that year, Brother Li gave his first conference in Los Angeles on the all-inclusive Christ.
The Lord willing, we will have a series of messages on the land, the city, and the temple. What we mean by the land is the land of Canaan, which is the type, the figure, the shadow of the all-inclusive Christ, or the Christ of all. And we know also
During the 1960s, the Lord's recovery began to take root in the United States. In this period of time, Brother Lee labored to build up the church in Los Angeles, which met at 1101 Eldon Street. In 1968, over 100 saints from the U.S. visited Taiwan for the first time. This was the first blending of churches between the East and the West. Sister Mary Hsu was serving in Hall 1 in Taipei at that time. 2 years later, the Taiwan saints made their first visit to the churches in the West. The next year, 1971, Mary came to the U.S. for the first time and joined the conference held at the Embassy Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Because of a tumor, she returned to Taiwan for an operation. In 1975, she came again, this time settling in Seattle.
From 1932 until now, I can testify. The Lord really, led me step by step. I never dreamed the Lord took me to the American, you see. And from the mainland to Taiwan, and from Taiwan to here. Isn't that something?
From the time Mary arrived in Seattle, she continued to serve the church and the saints, even in her old age. She was exceedingly faithful in the matter of preaching the gospel, and was frequently found visiting and talking to neighbors about the gospel from house to house. She was also a person who prayed steadfastly, making supplications daily for the work in Russia, and especially for those laboring there. She was an ardent pursuer of the ministry publications. He was one who was constituted with the ministry and who was able to supply the saints with the up-to-date speaking of the ministry. Even in her 90s, she would still be taking notes in the meetings.
I really tell you, you people, the blessed ones, really you people, really the blessed ones, now have the life study, it's really. So this help you. You see, you have to be diligent in this life study, it's full of light.
You never felt like she was judging you, even though you needed to be judged. She didn't judge you, she received you. She loved us as her children, and we loved her as a mother.
A lot of us, young people in the church are here today because of Mary's prayer. She had a heart for all the young people, and she prayed earnestly for us. Even if we didn't know she prayed for us, she was praying for us.
I enjoyed and appreciated Mary. I appreciated her joyfulness and really her happiness.
She's a real example of an old person that grew younger every year. She was I called her a mother shepherd. She was